Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela. I'm studying in NTU Japanese Language and Literature. I know I have repeated this for at least 3 times since Demo 1, but don't be charged so quickly. Today, I would like to share how my major had affected me and progressed way beyond my expectation. First of all, please let me briefly introduce my family background. My grandpa lived during Japanese colonial period. At that time, elementary school students were demanded to learn Japanese. So when I was little, the first song I was taught was not Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or even Taiwanese kid songs like Saifa Ho Didi. And instead, my childhood is full of Momotaro-san. In Chinese, it's Tao Tai Lang, and many other Japanese songs. However, when I was little, I can't even speak Japanese or read the letters. And every time when there are guests visiting our home, my grandpa will ask me to perform the songs in front of them. So I would just happily sing the song without knowing their meanings. Unfortunately, when I grow up, I've become too shy to sing in front of anyone. I guess that's the reason why my grandpa gradually gave up teaching me any Japanese songs. Not until I entered the Department of Japanese Language and Literature did the situation change. I could feel my grandpa's great happiness as soon as I told him about the great news. He immediately found out his dictionary and started to teach me about the 50 basic Japanese letters and their pronunciations. Although I have a really hard time memorizing these letters, every time I think of my grandpa, all I know is to study harder because I really don't want to disappoint him. After I can memorize these letters better, my grandpa always liked to share what he saw on NHK, a Japanese news channel, telling me jokes, sharing me the letters written by his Japanese teacher, and even his conversation with Japanese friends. Whenever he feels I have some new vocabulary that I don't know, he will find his big dictionary and his magnifying glass, flipping over to tell me the definition of the word. Last week, I went back home. I told my grandpa that I had to do a report about traditional Japanese songs. As soon as I finished my words, my grandpa turned back to the bookshelf and took out a stuff of lyrics and 2 series of cassettes. And I was like, wow, I have never known my grandpa has so many collections. What's more, whatever song I mention, my grandpa will sing out loudly with a few pauses explaining the lyrics for me. At that moment, I decided to be my grandpa's #1 fan. So I just feel myself tracing back to my childhood, surrounded by my grandpa's voice. The feeling was just so warm that I just couldn't stop smiling. In fact, when I'm writing my script, I started to recall the details of my childhood, trying to pick up the missing pieces. And it dawned on me that I have never spent enough time gathering with my grandparents. I don't mean that I seldom visit them or talk to them. I mean, I have never been curious enough about their past, their childhood, or even their hobbies. Once I started to do so, I discovered many things that I have never noticed. For example, I found that my grandpa is really a hardworking student. Every morning he will practice Japanese listening by listening to radio or watching the Japanese TV show. And once he met a vocabulary he doesn't know, he will soon look up the dictionary or even write letters to ask his friends. I really think I had to learn from my grandpa. I mean, can I also be so studious when I'm 80 years old? I can't say for sure. So this is one of the greatest joys I have experienced since I entered college. Presently, when people ask me, what is your goal after learning Japanese for 1 year? My answer is not, I want to pass N3, N2, or N1. Instead, I hope one day I can chat with my grandpa in Japanese fluently. So perhaps you think listening to my childhood memories or family travel is really boring. But what I really want to express is that the elderly really have a lot of stories to share. Oh, maybe we don't live together. Maybe they always talk the same stories. Or maybe they always talk in a slow pace. But don't be discouraged so easily, since we don't have so much time gathering with them. Why don't we cherish the period of time? 建议。